The topic of today is about healing and discussing what this core wound is. Core wound is a core pain or else discomfort, something unnatural to us. What is it? So during this meeting, my intention is not for you to add on, more beliefs or ideas or any philosophy in any way, but it's an opportunity to all of us to be truly within whom you are. So this core wound can be seen as a misidentification. A wrong idea of whom we think we are. Misidentification with something, because your essence is not a thing, isn't it? It also can be seen as some kind of entanglement with something. Or else engagement. Engagement with something. And this engagement, misidentification, entanglement can be experienced as a squeeze. We all have experienced these squeezes. Something limiting us, something tight, something pressuring us, feeling bounded by something. What is that? And it can be seen as a distraction away from our true self. So, what is this thing, or what is it that we are pointing towards? These misidentifications and distractions. To bring a few examples, are very commonly known as thoughts. There are certain thoughts that come and go, and you simply don't notice them because they're not important. But there are thoughts that when they pass by you, by your present now, you grab onto them. You grab onto them, you believe them in some ways, you infuse with them or engage, and even you might even believe those thoughts. So that's an engagement, a distraction, and a misidentification from a thought level perspective. Same thing comes with emotions. We are aware that emotions come up in our day-to-day life, and emotions come, and some we can easily manage. But other emotions, they trigger us, they disempower us, and we lose ourselves in those emotions, isn't it? We lose ourselves, we lose ourself into those emotions that you call challenging feelings. So what happens there? You identify. You become the angry identity because you merge with that identity, isn't it? Or else you become the disempowered self, the hopeless self, because you merge, you become one with it. You misidentify yourself with something else. So you merge with these other emotions, you infuse, you get distracted, you lose yourself into and fuse and believe you are the disempowered self, or that you are not worthy, or that, you're not good enough. So that's a misidentification, an entanglement. That's a squeeze when you feel uncomfortable. Something's not quite natural there. Or when you get into those resistances, something so deeply uncomfortable. And basically, it is literally all the same. It's the same with all of you energetic beings, who is highly energetic. It's the same thing. You lose yourself, entangle up, and misidentify. You squeeze because you infuse, and you lose yourself and become that energy. So you see, it's the same thing. It doesn't really matter actually if it's a thought, if it's a feeling, if it's an emotion, if it's an energy. It's the same thing that is happening. We are losing ourselves. We are misidentifying with something else that we are not. Distracted and feeling all squeezed up. In that squeeze, you might feel it as a challenging moment, some challenging energy, whatever, So that in itself, that in itself is what is actually creating that core wound. Because it is taking us out of who we are. So whether it's good energy or bad energy, it's the same really. There's still this engagement and misidentification with a certain entity that you believe in that moment. You experience struggle. You experience challenges only when you misidentify with whom you think you are. So that's actually an indication when you're suffering, on any degree, when you're suffering, when you are also feeling certain feelings, for example, of lack. It's a feeling, isn't it? It's still a feeling. So you misidentify yourself with that entity of lack. You fuse, you merge. It's like a marriage that you constantly do. Yeah, with these feelings. You identify with lack. You identify with a feeling of separation. Feeling. Isn't it a feeling? So feelings can be very tricky, isn't it? Because it's very easy for us to slip into feeling, merge with the feeling and believe it. And then you say, I am feeling a lot of lack, or I am broken, or I am missing something, or I am not complete, and I am not this, and I am not that. And what you are immersing yourself into are these feelings. Misidentification. And where does the identification come from? It comes from our focus, isn't it? From our focus and attention, we project into feelings, sensations, energies, emotions, thoughts. It is our focus that is always constantly squeezed and projecting, misidentifying with entities. You could see it like that. And every time you slip into a misidentification of whom you think you are, you suffer, isn't it? So those moments are actually a wake-up call every time. They're an indicator that, I've slipped somewhere into something else. And that constant focus is very squeezed compared to your true essence. It's so squeezed, it's focused upon lack. There is a certain, like a bridge. You're projecting your light, but very narrow, onto that lack. And you merge with that lack. And you believe it, and you become it, and you suffer. Then my question to you, then, what is behind that focus? Because that focus is coming from somewhere. That's like the initial squeeze. Yeah, that squeeze that we feel. But if we take a few steps back, even behind that focus, we come back home in the openness of our being, which is behind the focus. And for your true essence of your being, there's nothing to remember because it's naturally here. You just have been focusing too much on this and that. So it's actually the focus itself that has distracted the attention to go somewhere else. And through that focus, we experience all these feelings of lack, of separation, but they are actually feelings. So the instant you familiarize with what is behind the focus, you will find nothing. There is no separation, there is no division, there is no fragment, there is nothing to put back together. It's already, whole, boundless, light, loving being that you are. It's already here. So it is only because of the distraction of our focus that we lost our self. But in actuality, the self is not lost. The self is here. It's just you've distracted yourself because of the focus towards something else. That is the only thing we can rearrange. Yeah, it's not even a problem. There's nothing wrong, but something is not quite natural to have that focus on all of these objects, dualities, because behind your focus is whole. There's no polarity, there's no opposition, there's no conflict, there's no lack. It's just brightness and radiance of your being. So we could see that it's some kind of like mismanagement. We mismanaged and misidentified upon these limited objects. And of course, you're going to feel suffering. Of course, you're not going to feel good. Of course, you're going to feel limited. That's actually great. It's an indication. Yourself is telling you, hey, shift your focus. You're focusing in the wrong direction. I'm right here, behind your focus. So it's actually a great thing that you feel something uncomfortable, something's not quite right. It's an indicator that you're putting your lighthouse to something else. The reason why we actually meditate into our deeper self beyond these limitations and misidentifications is to refamiliarize with whom we truly are, isn't it? Is to familiarize, because we have familiarized very well with what we are not. Yeah, we have familiarized very well with limitations. We have familiarized very well with all emotions. We have merged with them 1,000 times. And so you can end the game by merging back into your true self, which is already here. It's just behind all the stuff, because your true self is not an object. It's even beyond object and subject. So we just have to familiarize where we shall place our focus. And the more we familiarize with our natural self, of course, there can be some challenging energies you are processing or scrubbing through and transcending. Of course, it's going to happen because you have a whole lot of stuff with you that you're carrying. And your self, your true self, your essence wants itself to be liberated. Why carry all that stuff with you if it's not you? So it's only natural that these things come up for us, and challenging energies or emotions, because they're not natural for you to carry them with you. You just became familiar and you made it to seem normal, but it's actually not. Do you need fear? No. Do you need to carry the pain of your past? No. Why would you want to keep carrying all this stuff? No, you don't have to do that. You can free yourself. Your essence is here to constantly remind you that you are a free being, that you are a boundless being. You just have shrinked yourself in such a small, limited self. And that's how you've lost yourself, literally. So it's really about familiarizing with your boundless you, the one that is already here radiating so much presence and so much consciousness, so much awareness, and free. Yeah, free. And what is this freedom? It's not like a freedom that, like some kind of idea that I'm free and because I'm happy right now. No, it's freedom is, the true freedom is when, if any feeling or any energy or whatever comes up in your aware space, you're okay with it. You're simply okay with anything that comes up. You're okay. You're okay with feeling. So this okayness is essential. The moment you're okay with a feeling, in that instant, you're free. Isn't it? You're free. You're free because you gave it full permission to be here. And if you give it full permission, it's because you're not identifying with it. You're giving it full space for it to be, being okay with that. So in that instance, it becomes a moment of freedom, moment of liberation. So anything else that you experience as challenge, any challenge, is because on a deeper level, you have not come to a place of okayness with that feeling, isn't it? If you're still struggling on some degrees, it's the same thing. It's because you have not yet come to a place of okayness. Because the moment you really come to a place of okayness, you're free. And at the same time, you're liberating that feeling. So also wanted to share a bit about this Amrita Nadi as well. Because if you ever heard of the Amrita Nadi, it's a channel of consciousness. And it's connected with our heart and a bit on the right side. We have quite a big channel here. And this channel is directly connected with, our, let's say, full consciousness. But as a civilization, as a humanity civilization, this has been altered. So it has been like a genetically or altered dysfunction, we could say, where this channel of consciousness has been like a valve of water, like a tap of water, has been closed down. Yeah, has been closed down, where only a trickle of consciousness of water is accessible to us. But of course, that's for the normal person, who has maybe not done any work upon himself, where there's only 4% of consciousness flowing in their being. It's coming into their being. So this dysfunction, we can actually consciously reverse it and start to open up this consciousness channel, this Amrita Nadi. It's actually the channel of bliss, it is called. So we can actually work with it to open up this valve. So that we can have more and more excess, more percentage starts coming back to us. And so, when you started doing some inner work, conscious work, you first see all the limitations of the mind and all the psychology there, which has been wired in a particular way. And then there's also the heart, where we work on the heart and all the pains and armor that the heart protects itself and keeps it very protected. We work on that. Then eventually, you come to see that this Amrita Nadi, it's actually connected together with the heart and crown. The knob, the valve, which is contracted in the heart, is the connectivity or the openness of your crown center. But this has been manipulated. It's not natural. That's why then humans have become so dysfunctional, because they're not functioning from their natural self. They're functioning from limitations, misidentifications, and distractions with all objectivities and life experiences. This is also what today could be a good opportunity to work on the Amrita Nadi, so that we can open up slowly this channel of consciousness, so that we can have more access to that which is natural, to that which is behind any squeezes and behind your focus and attention.